I didn't fall out of love all at once. There was no cheating, no big fight, no moment where everything broke. It just faded. And the scariest part, I didn't even notice it was happening until there was nothing left to feel. Hi, this is Breakup Diaries. This story was shared anonymously, and honestly, it's one of the hardest to explain. Because nothing went wrong, but everything still fell apart. At the beginning, we were good. Not the kind of love that's loud or chaotic. Ours was calm, steady, the kind that makes you feel safe instead of anxious. He was consistent in a way I wasn't used to. Always there, always clear, always choosing me. And for a long time, that felt like everything I needed. We had routines, small things that became part of us. Late night conversations, quiet mornings, simple plans that didn't need effort to feel right. There was no confusion about where we stood. No games. No guessing. Just comfort. And I thought that meant we were strong. That this was what a healthy relationship was supposed to feel like. But somewhere inside all that comfort, something began to change. Not in a way that made me stop and question things. Just small shifts. Almost invisible at first. Conversations felt a little shorter. Moments felt a little less exciting. The energy between us, slightly different. At the time, I ignored it. Because nothing was technically wrong. And when nothing is wrong, you don't go looking for problems. But looking back now, that's exactly where it started. Not with a mistake. Not with a fight. But with something much quieter. Something I didn't understand yet. If you've ever been in something long enough, you know how easy it is to stop noticing small changes. They don't feel important at first. They don't feel like warning signs. They just feel like life. That's what it felt like for me. Nothing obvious changed overnight. We still talked every day. We still saw each other. We still laughed sometimes. But if I'm being honest, it wasn't the same kind of laughter. It didn't feel as effortless. There were moments where conversations felt forced. Not bad. Just not natural anymore. Like we were filling silence instead of enjoying each other. At first, I blamed everything else. Work. Stress. Life getting busy. Because that's what people say, right? That relationships go through phases. That things settle down. So I told myself this was normal. That this is what happens when the excitement fades. But deep down, there was a part of me that knew something was off. I just didn't want to look at it too closely. Because if I did, I might have to admit something I wasn't ready for. And it wasn't just the conversations. It was the little things too. The way I stopped checking my phone with the same excitement. The way time with him felt familiar, but not special. The way I started feeling slightly distant, even when we were together. Not disconnected, just less present. And the hardest part, he didn't seem to notice any of it. He was still the same, still showing up, still trying. And that made it even more confusing. Because if nothing was wrong with him, then what was changing? Once you feel something shift, you can't unfeel it. No matter how much you try to ignore it. And eventually, I stopped ignoring it. Not completely, but enough to start trying to fix it. I told myself maybe we just needed effort again. Something new. Something different. So I started planning things. Dates we hadn't done before. Conversations that went deeper than our usual routines. I tried to bring back the feeling we used to have. The excitement. The connection. And for a while, it almost worked. Or at least, I convinced myself it did. We had good moments. Moments where I felt like everything was normal again. But they didn't last. They felt temporary. Like something I had to keep recreating. Instead of something that just existed naturally. And that's when it started to feel exhausting. Not because he wasn't trying, but because I was trying to feel something. That wasn't coming back the way it used to. I started questioning myself. Wondering if I was the problem. If maybe I expected too much. If maybe this is just what long-term love feels like. Less intense. Less emotional. More stable. But the more I tried to accept that, the more something inside me resisted it. Because deep down I knew the difference. This wasn't just love becoming calm. This was something else. Something fading. And no matter how much effort I put in, I couldn't bring it back. It didn't happen during an argument or a dramatic moment. There was no breaking point. No sudden realization. Just a quiet night. We were sitting together like we always did. A same place. Same routine. Nothing out of the ordinary. He was talking about something. I don't even remember what. But I remember looking at him and feeling something I had never felt before. Or maybe something I didn't feel anymore. There was no emotional pull. No warmth. No connection. Just awareness. Like I was present, but not actually there. And that's when it hit me. Not loudly. Not in a way that shocked me. But in a way that felt undeniable. I still cared about him. I still wanted him to be okay. I still valued everything we had built. But the feeling of being in love wasn't there anymore. And the worst part, nothing had gone wrong. He hadn't changed. He hadn't hurt me. He was still the same person I had once felt everything for. And that made it harder to accept. Because there was nothing to blame, nothing to point at, nothing to fix. Just a truth I didn't want to say out loud. I kept sitting there, listening to him talk, nodding like everything was normal. But inside, something had already shifted. Something I couldn't undo. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't temporary. This wasn't a phase. This wasn't something effort could fix. This was real. And I didn't know what to do with it. After that night, everything felt different. Not on the outside. We still did the same things. Still talked the same way. Still showed up for each other. But inside, I wasn't the same anymore. And pretending became harder than I expected. Because I still cared about him. That never changed. I wanted him to be happy. I wanted him to feel loved. But the feeling that used to come naturally now felt forced. Like something I had to remind myself to show. And that created a kind of guilt I wasn't prepared for. Because how do you explain that to someone? How do you tell a person who did nothing wrong that something is missing? I tried to ignore it at first. Told myself it would come back. That maybe I just needed time. But time didn't fix it. If anything, it made it clearer. The distance I felt didn't go away. It settled in. A quiet. A consistent. A real. There were moments he would look at me, and I could see how he felt. The same way I used to feel. And that made it worse. Because I knew I couldn't give that back anymore. Not in the same way. And that's when I realized something I had been avoiding. Staying wasn't kindness. It wasn't love. It was fear. Fear of hurting him. Fear of ending something that looked perfectly fine. But deep down, I already knew the truth. Love was still there. Just not the kind that could hold us together anymore. In the end, there wasn't a fight. No raised voices. No accusations. No moment where everything exploded. Just a conversation. That felt heavier than anything we had ever been through. I remember sitting across from him, trying to find the right words. But there aren't words for something like this. How do you explain that nothing is wrong? And yet everything has changed. I don't think I feel the same anymore, I finally said. Even saying it out loud felt unreal. Like I was talking about someone else's relationship. He didn't respond right away. He just looked at me. Confused. I hurt. Trying to understand something that didn't make sense. Did I do something? He asked quietly. And that was the hardest part. Because the answer was no. He didn't break us. There was no mistake. No moment I could point to and say, that's when I stopped loving you. It just happened. Slowly. Silently. Without permission. I wish you did, I admitted. Because that would have been easier. Easier to explain. Easier to fix. Easier to walk away from. But this felt unfair. To him. To me. To everything we had built. We didn't end with anger. We ended with silence. And a kind of sadness that didn't need words. Walking away didn't feel like relief. It felt like losing something that had already been slipping away for a long time. And even now, I still wonder, is it worse to lose someone all at once? Or to feel them slowly disappear while they're still right in front of you?